Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you guys. How are you doing? It's hump day, Yeah. Whatever you do on hump day.
Good morning. Members of the public have been expressing mixed reactions to the proposed minimum wage. The Minimum and Equal Wages Commission has proposed a rate of $6.50 per hour or $1,126 per month.
People wasn't getting nothing. Now they're getting something they have to appreciate because their life not going to get better. We're living in a whole world of crisis. So we need to stop as St. Lucians and appreciate the little things God is doing for us.
Not bad. It's a high time we have a minimum wage in this country. People come in here, just name some, I wouldn't call it no nationality or any stores. We have people working for them for $1.50 an hour, even security firms. So it's a high time we have a standard for that. When it comes to security firms and all the shops and businesses that owe and that can afford.
Well, it's more than they used to get before. But money is never enough for people. No matter how much they receive, they always want more. But it is a good initiative, and government can keep on striving.
In a past life, I was part of a political party called the St. Lucia, the National Green Party, NGP. And this was one of the issues that we brought to the fore. We saw the need for it, and we believe our people deserve better at the time. And the thing about it is when you have ideas and you sow those seeds out there, whichever political party that seek to implement it, you have to welcome it because it's for the people. And at the end of the day, the people will be better off with whatever little increase it is right now, they will be better off. So it is a plus, it's a positive, and I welcome it.
The proposed new minimum wage order was published in a Gazette, inviting comment and objections from the public, who have up to the 6th of June 2024 to raise those objections. A recent drowning at VG Beach has resuscitated calls from the St. Lucia Lifesavers Association to the government for the installation of lifeguards at the island's most frequented beaches.
Clearly, this young man from reports did know how to swim but may have encountered difficulties. Our concern as an institution with responsibility for life-saving lifeguards, it goes back to the long discussion over lifeguards on our beaches. We may not be able to facilitate that, meaning government, when I say we, the people, in a full-time capacity. But I do believe, and we as an association do believe, that there is an opportunity for this to take place on days that are known for locals and visitors alike to be on our beaches.
In addition, the association is calling for life-saving skills training to be made part of the school's curriculum. Over 30 legal practitioners participated in a virtual stakeholder engagement on the insolvency bill, which is scheduled for a second reading in Parliament in the coming months.
This reform will have an impact on all users of the banking system, of credit unions, of the financial system. And so we want persons to understand what is in this new legislative framework, how it benefits them, how it protects them as consumers, how to take advantage of the economic opportunities presented to them as a result of the coming of this legislation and the establishment of the office of the supervisor or receiver of insolvency. And so in the coming weeks, you will hear some public service announcements, a few advertisements on it, but putting out the information in layman's terms so that the general populace, everybody can understand what this very technical piece of legislation is about.
In preparation for its passage, the NCPC has commenced a public sensitization drive to educate all stakeholders on the benefits and provisions of the legislation. Finally, police news. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force, RSLPF, has an attempted murder suspect in custody and confiscated multiple weapons following a massive police operation on Friday, May 17, 2024. Searches within the city were conducted by the RSLPF in response to growing concerns about delinquent behavior among secondary school students. And as such, law enforcement officers conducted multiple searches in the Castries area. Consequently, officers discovered and seized 17 offensive instruments concealed on students. The operation also included sweeps in areas known for criminal activity, and these efforts led to the arrest of a suspect involved in an ongoing attempted murder investigation. The operation concluded with a traffic enforcement effort, during which several departments of the RSLPF, including the Bicycle Patrol Unit and others, conducted that search, and 120 vehicles were stopped during that segment of the operation. 21 tickets were issued for various violations, and 2 motor vehicles were impounded by the lawmen. These are your top stories. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
Thanks, Kendall. We need to take a short break, as always, and we're coming right back. Now, recently, as part of my She Speak program, I discovered this amazing, young, brilliant St. Lucian. She is living in Australia. Her name is Dr. Sabrina Sayers. And she is all into the technological and educational pattern with drones and all of these things. Now, I sat down with her at She Speaks and I thought, no, this is not a conversation for my audience at this platform alone to have. So I thought it was necessary to bring her over, and you could learn some more about what it is she's doing. It's quite impressive. You would be proud if you're a Lucian. Well, good morning and welcome. Of course, we've got a lot of people. Come on, I need you guys need to see you guys. Lucian, look like a little baby, and you're doing so much. Let me go on and bring up my guest. She's there. Good morning, Sabs. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I am very, very impressed and I'm quite interesting. I'm very excited to start this conversation this morning. How is Australia? Is that where you're at, right?
Yes, I'm in Melbourne right now, and it's winter's starting, so it's a bit cold.
It's cold. Oh, wonderful. Now, Sabs, we need to find out a little bit more about you. You're a definite daughter of the soil. You're from St. Lucia. So tell us a little bit about your background here in St. Lucia.
Well, I actually worked at First National Bank, so I'll just say that. Shout out to First National. I worked there for 2 years.
Yeah, they are sponsors. That's right.
Yeah, before I started my school. So I started at Ave Maria Girls Primary School, then went to St. Joseph's Convent, then went to A-level, spent 2 years working at the bank, and then got a scholarship, the Taiwanese scholarship. So did that for 5 years, and then for my master's, I got an Erasmus Mundus scholarship, which means that I was able to study in 3 different countries.
Wow!
And then I did my PhD.
So certainly, we are to conclude that you were definitely in academia. You were about that life.
I was kind of, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Tell me about growing up, though. What the childhood? What are some of the principles? What was the household like? What was it like for you as a child?
Yeah, so I grew up with my mom and my dad and my older sister at home. My dad was pretty much the person who would tell you, you have to go to school, and I was in so many after school lessons that it was pretty unbelievable. So at Ave Maria we had this shift program. So I'd be in lessons if I was in class in the morning, be in lessons in the afternoon. And if I had class in the afternoon, I'd be in lessons in the morning. And then that continued through convent as well. So I was always in these extra classes because of him. And then he also really pushed me to be involved in lots of after school programs. So the Kids Safari from St. Lucia National Trust and whatnot. That was really instrumental as part of my childhood. I didn't spend a lot of time outside.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of time.
Was it entrenched in you, or was it things you had to adapt with? Was it things that you had contention with, or it was just okay? Daddy wanted that. Was there any a moment where you felt, oh, Daddy's pushing me a little too much, or it was already in you and you just went with the flow and it was all right? What was it like?
It was a bit of both, in that I was definitely a daddy's girl and I used to follow him around. So I kind of took his word as gospel. But then at the same time, I was like, well, I'm already working very hard at school. Like, why do I have to do extra lessons? But I still enjoy like the social aspect of being in all the extra lessons and all that. Yeah.
All right. Would you take it back? No?
I think I would, because I feel like all of these experiences definitely like molded me, and I made some good friends throughout those lessons. So I definitely wouldn't take it back.
Right.
Yeah.
So for a young person who might be in a position like that, where their parent or somebody that cares about them in that light is pushing them in that regard, what is one word of advice you would push out to them at this juncture?
I think if your parents are open to talking and like maybe explaining their reasoning behind pushing you so much, it might help, guide the child, because sometimes it's like, well, I'm already doing so well. Why are they pushing me? Or, and it's sometimes within you feel like you want to rebel. And I did do that at some points. But a conversation with your parents would definitely help you kind of figure out what's happening.
A lengthy conversation. We couldn't have had everything in one dot. So here is Sabrina again with the second part of what she was talking about. Dr. Sayers, of course, is our guest this morning. And yes, man, let's jump. You got to jump with me now from St. Joseph Convent, the scholarships, to where we are right now. No, we're not reaching there yet. I want us to take into when did you realize that you were leading into that sort of environment? What is it? Is it technology or what sort of an?
It's, like technical applications. So I don't build the drones, I don't make them. I just have the license to fly them because it's really regulated here. But I got into it from my master's. So from my master's, I was using some of the data. Before my master's, I was a bit anti-drone because the exposure in St. Lucia was that, people would just be flying it randomly. Like you'd be at a fete and then you just see a drone pass by your head and be like,
right.
Oh. And then when I started using the data, then I was like, oh, it's actually really interesting. And I was pushed into it with my PhD because my supervisor at the time really, like, she had the funding and everything to do a project with drones and mangroves. And I was into the mangroves. So I did that and then got hired to be a drone pilot while I was doing my PhD. So that enabled me to see all the other applications that you can use them for. Yeah.
Wow. Was that all like at the time when did you had in your mind, did you plan this is where you wanted the direction you wanted to go in? You were just there doing your PhD in what, by the way?
So my PhD would be in coastal biogeomorphology, which is a very big word for
it's long.
How it's there. Just looking at how ecosystems, especially mangroves, actually change and alter the environment that they're in. Because of their presence on their coast, they actively modify the environment with like the action of waves and sediments and all of that. So to be able to study that, mangroves are really hard to work in. So like think of just walking in like knee deep mud and like how hard that would be. So then we decided to try to use drones to see if we could get the same quality of information instead of being stuck in the mud.
Wow. Oh my. Listen, girl, we need more than half an hour to talk to you. So presently, what it is that you're actually commissioning. You're now very, very instrumental in a lot of things. So let's talk about it. I'm seeing things like, Data Institute of Railway Technology. I've seen all kind of things popping up in front of me. So you need to just break it down for us because I am lost right now. As you can probably tell, there's a lot of things that I don't understand. So you really have to spoon feed me, and I'm sure a lot of my guests, but it's very vital, that we understand what it is that you're really into and how vital it is for, sustenance and how probably it can enhance back home. You could probably look at ways in which what you're doing can probably sometime in the future benefit St. Lucia.
Yeah, definitely. So I studied at Monash University and I work at Monash currently. So my role at Monash, I have two. So one of them is to be the deputy chief remote pilot.
Oh my.
So essentially, um, when you fly drones here for commercial purposes, you need a license, and then you're called a remote pilot. So you have a license, and then there's someone within the organization that kind of handles the legislation and making sure that people are doing the flight safely and properly, etc.
Right.
So I am there to kind of help that person because sometimes because they're external, they don't really speak to a lot about pilots day to day. So I'm here to help with that and to help like write procedures, etc. And just to make sure that people are doing the right things when they fly because if they fly in a way that's unsafe, it puts the entire university's operations at risk because like the government here would depending on what happens, they might revoke our license to fly, and that would affect everyone across the university. So
Right.
that's one aspect. And the second aspect is that I just started as a data scientist at the Monash Institute of Railway Technology. So at that institute, they really look at railways. So whether it be looking at rolling stocks or looking at putting instrumentation on the trains to see how they work. And they're trying to enter that drone space and to use drones in some way to be able to enhance or enable train function. So whether it be if there's a derailment, then you can go out with a drone and capture some data. If you want to do some infrastructure modeling or some infrastructure inspections, then you can do that as well. And looking at like the health of the track, etc. So we're just starting. So we'll
Wow.
see how we can, get going in that space because it has been done in a lot of other countries, and I feel like Australia is just kind of starting out in some ways, and it can kind of be improved. Yeah.
Well, this is so much happening there. I mean, are you grasping all of it? Because you go and study a little ecosystem, then okay, they tell you, all right, well, the drones go help you to do what you studied, this mangrove thing, and to go into the mangrove to make your work better. And here you are now commissioning, so many things where the drone is concerned and the the safe use of it. Are you grasping all of this? Is all of this really tying in to where this is heading for you?
It's tying in, but at the same time, I'm kind of like going with the flow a bit. So last year, I was working mostly with like geologists and whatnot, capturing their data
Exactly.
in like earth sciences. And then now to be in the railway space is something that's very different and adds like another layer of safety because now I have to think of not just like safety with the drone, but then safety in terms of operating along like railway corridors and everything. So it can be a bit, but I think I'm grasping and it's just being able to kind of separate the two. And I feel like even within the railway, people have licenses, but they may not be aware that, the rules have changed because they have changed in the 5 years since I got my license.
Wow. It's going in the right direction. I think this is exactly where it needs to head. I think that little head on your shoulder, they have a lot of purpose to share to this world. Now, let's talk in terms of what are you doing now, and let's think. How do you ever consider like back home and how it is that some of the things that you're learning and experiencing in that light, probably how it is that you can utilize or it can be utilized back home to make some sort of a change or difference? How?
Yeah, so I think back home it would be two different things. So one would be just the safe use of it, especially at events.
Right.
Because everyone's excited, right? It's a flying camera. That's all we
Yeah.
see. And these things actually do fall out of the sky. And if they do fall out of the sky, people can get hurt. So
Wow.
even the lighter ones that may be I don't know, like 100 gram, a kilogram. So imagine a kilogram of flour falling from 50 meters on top of somebody's
Sorry.
head, like,
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And the other one would be that it is more than just a flying camera. So even if you take pictures, there are ways to, or videos sometimes, there are ways to process the data that you get and actually like take measurements. So for example, in construction, you'd be able to measure stockpiles So instead of somebody going out and like measuring how much sand is left at like Reno or something, then they could measure that using a drone. You can do vegetation studies. There have been studies in St. Lucia that have been done by like external parties, and I have played around with a little bit of that data. So it would be good to kind of see some development in that space and just really educating people on both ends. Yeah.
Well, that's refreshing. That's refreshing. In wrapping up, is there anything you'd like to share with us? I mean,
So I don't know. I don't know if I should take it to the drones or take it to school.
you could go anywhere with it, or you could do both. Why not?
Okay, so with school, because I've been able to study in so many different countries, I'd say don't just limit yourself to studying in the UK or the US or Canada. If there are opportunities for you to be able to get a scholarship or find a way to study somewhere else, it really kind of broadens your horizon, which is what happened with me. And in terms of drone use, if you're thinking of getting a drone or doing whatever, just make sure that you're doing it mindfully. I know there aren't any laws in St. Lucia right now, but you just have to be mindful. Like, how would you feel if you were standing in your backyard and you just saw someone's drone fly by, or if you were on the beach and someone was just flying a drone above your head? How would you feel? So just keeping people in mind when you do find the interesting toys to play with.
Absolutely. Sabrina, Dr. Sabrina, let me get it right. We are so proud of you. Well, I'm not even Lucian and I'm proud. So can you imagine how your fellow Lucians are feeling right now? So certainly you keep going, girl, and you keep inspiring, and you keep just reaching, because you are brilliant, and we appreciate that. Thank you for joining us.
No worries.
Finally, Aaron Alexander, the president of ICA, he's now retained that post. They're having Africa Day this coming Saturday. Here's Aaron. I'm here with Aaron Alexander, of course, no stranger to St. Lucia. This man has been in the media. He's been quite an active body on the island. Aaron, how are you, man? It's been a minute.
Yes, it's been quite some time.
What are you hiding, man? What's going on?
Well, I've been focusing on my business for the time, but now that I've gotten back as the president of ICA, I guess I have to be a little more out there now.
Right. Now, Saturday, something coming up. We want to get the in-depth of this.
Yes,
Africa.
yes.
We hear the Rastafari movement is always, back to Africa, we chod in, that's the mission. Africa Day in the past, I don't think we in the Caribbean islands do enough, and incidentally, I just came from the current school some time back, and one of the teachers who studied in Cuba, she had that passion, she wanted to initiate it, so she's actually putting on something for the schools to get involved for Africa Day. Now the ICA is doing something as well.
Yes, definitely.
Right. What is happening?
I think first of all, if the school system, ICA have written to the Minister of Education, because we believe it's imperative that we get into the school system to educate our children about this kind of important dates, because we all will admit we are predominantly an African descendant set of people in the West. So it's important for us to acknowledge those historical days. And African Liberation Day, this coming Saturday, the 25th of May, it will be taking place at Serenity Park. And this activity will entail, solidarity speeches by prominent persons within the community of Rastafari and St. Lucia generally. We're looking at having libation towards our ancestors, invoking the spirit of our ancestors to be with us, because we know the struggle was fought by them and is upon their shoulders we stand today. So we have to acknowledge them. We're looking at having different performances by different artists and so on as well. So we'll decorate Serenity Park sort of like an African village. So they'll have historical aspects of it. They will have clothing, all what we do within the Rastafari community will be on display. And we invite in, other persons, Pan-African people, because this is not a Rastafari thing. This is about we as a people, Pan-African people, conscious people. It's open to the entire public to come forward from 10 a.m. at the Serenity Park. And later in the afternoon, about 1, 2 o'clock, we will have a grand African Liberation Day march through the city of Castries. And you know, we go back to Serenity Park, where we'll continue our program with the artist performances, etc., etc. So it promises to be a great time on Saturday, and it's open to the public. Come forward, my people, and be edified and learn a little more about our history as African people.
I wanted to go there. Let's talk in relation to our history as African descendants and all of that. Are we doing enough to ensure that our younger persons understand the connection, and we seem to be lost as a people because I guess a lot have to do with the fact that we do not have an appreciation or maybe a knowledge of where this all derived from. How important it is to ensure that the history is kept and told and you know, solidified, especially among the youths.
I think that this is by design. We are denied our history because our education system was designed by our former colonial powers, and it has not taken a twist to include African history. And from the last election, when this government came into power, I was very much excited when I heard the Prime Minister speak to that issue. And he said that he will be working with ICA as an organization that promotes this kind of philosophies and this kind of reasonings. He will work with us to ensure that more African history is taught in our schools. Because we believe also our youth suffer from a lack of identity. An identity crisis prevails among our young people. That is why all this violence and crime is going on. They don't have a sense of who they are. So our youth need a sense of belonging, and to just belong to a small island like St. Lucia, you know, it is not enough. We have to open this up. That is why it's important, and that is why the Americans, the black Americans, they identify themselves with Africa first. They say that they are African Americans. So it's important for us to identify with Africa first and as a larger entity. So that gives our youth a greater sense of identity within themselves, to know how we lived as a people, how we respected each other, you know, how we respected the sanctity of life, you know. And this black on black violence, youth on youth violence, this benefits no one. So, you know, these are the kind of messages we want to get into the school system, and we hope that the Minister of Education will respond to our letter and give us the permission to do like pep talks within our school system. And we could actually start bringing out this other side of history and teach our youth about role models. You know, when you ask our young children, who's your role model? What do you think they're going to do? They don't even know. You know, they don't have role models, and these are the kind of things we lack in our society now. Somebody took me on one time and said, well, we have Sir Arthur and Sir Derek, but how connected are these personalities to the youth on the ground? You know, the youth down in the grassroots. You know, how connected are these people? Because every time you have Nobel Laureate Week, it seems like a posh kind of thing, you know, is Mrs. this and Mrs. that. It does not come down to the grassroots level of the youth. Right. The youth will identify with people that stood up for something, people that stood up for a struggle, you know, people that go down in the trenches and fight for a cause. The youth will be more inspired by those things, you know. So that is why we believe we need more African history in the schools. And when the Prime Minister made that statement when he came into office very early on, we were very excited, and we're hoping that these things will still come through. I mean, they're on the going on the third year right now, so there's still time to implement those things in our school, and ICA stands ready, able to assist the government and the Ministry of Education to do those things in the school system.
Aaron, we are always so passionate about these things, and I can only hope, you know, to imagine what Saturday is going to be like. So I'm hoping persons will take the opportunity, like you said, and come on out. I've had the privilege of, you know, attending one of those, and you know, it is really good, and you're so correct. That sense of identity, that sense of belonging, that sense of ownership, you know, it really does. You really do look at life from a different lens when you're able to connect in those ways. So I hope people will come out. Anything, anywhere, how could we follow and stay in tune with ICA? Are you still on the internet?
Yes, well, you know, people, we have our Facebook page, Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari. They can get information from there as well. I mean, we're going to be putting out press releases where there are contact numbers where they could reach us. You know, they could reach me at 723-9763. Persons who may be interested in getting involved and so on. So, you know, we'll be putting out monthly bulletins, monthly press releases, always keeping people, you know, acquainted with what is happening within the council, you know. Wonderful. And we thank the members, those who've been giving their support so far. We have a few persons who have already said that they're going to sponsor and support the activity. So we're hoping that they'll come through for us, and we'll have a grand time on Saturday, you know.
Wonderful. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
All the best. Wonderful.
I've been wanting to do that a long time.
Right, and that is our show for this awesome Wednesday. God and be great. Now, let me tell you something about life. Jen and I, camera guy and I, was just here, and we talking about it, and I said, "Look at God. God just smiled on us this morning." And yeah, sometimes you just need to settle down and just have faith. Have a little faith. Things will work out, like it did this morning. Have a lovely day.